I just really love that intro, guys. You have no idea. It's just so nice and sweet and just very uppity, like myself, I guess. So, guys, when you were little and you went to a plant shop, were you also confused about what perennials and annuals meant? I know I was. I was always confused on what perennials and what annuals were. I always actually mixed the two. So I always thought perennials were actually annuals. But it turns out that annuals are oftentimes mistaken as perennials because of the climate that they're in. So in my mind, I thought annuals just continuously grew. I didn't know that, well, hey, I produced you some flowers and I gave you some seeds and it's time for me to go. I always took it like that, like that's what an annual is. But perennials, they actually have 2 or more years of growth. They will repeat a cycle and keep going. And so that's what makes it a perennial. Why people may confuse perennials and annuals is because sometimes they have like an herbaceous perennial or a woody one. Now, let me give you the actual definition of that. First of all, non-woody plants, let me go back. All right. Herbaceous perennials are non-woody plants. And they grow in one season and they're dormant in the winter or dry periods, which dry periods are like drought periods for people who don't really understand that whole wording thing. I think in agriculture, a lot is the wording of specific things. I think we need to like draw it back a little bit so that people who don't know much about plants can understand them too. Now, they also don't put me to a stake here, guys. Herbaceous perennials can also survive during the winter because what they do is that they have underground structures such as potatoes. They have their food structures underground and they're just surviving. They're surviving until that next season. Then they're going to give you some shoots. And then woody structures are trees and shrubs. So that is what you want in front of your property. You want some shrubs because they're going to be annual. They're going to be growing for you all season. They might suffer through like a winter season, but they're still going to be there visually. They're not going to just die off. They're going to be dormant in their dormant state. So you'll still have your plant there and, it will be there for you and people will understand, oh, they have like a little shrub in front of their home, So then let's talk about biennials because I think this is the longest subject of the two. I wanted to kind of just take you away from the confusion of what annuals and biennials actually were, and then bring you into biennials. Now, biennials, they require 2 growing seasons, and in some books and references, you may see years, but please understand that that's the years of that plant. It's not human years, just like we have cat and dog years. Think of it in that way. All right. So, okay, here we go. Now, they require 2 growing seasons to complete their life cycle. The first year, what happens is that they're under some primary growth period. They're going from seed roots. They're going from seed. So then the seed is going to begin, giving some shoots and whatnot. Then you're going to have some stems. Then you're going to have some leaves and even some food storage structures like potatoes again. So, and then the second year, this is where you're going to see that the plant is going to start to die, because after it forms flowers and fruit, it's going to give you some seeds, and then it's going to die off and will bolt. When a plant bolts, like specifically romaine lettuce, it's going to give you some flowers, it's going to give you some seeds, and then once it starts to flower, throw that plant out. Well, don't throw it out if you don't want to, but just take the seeds and then replant it for the next season, because it's not going to give you anything good, anything that tastes good. It's going to start to give you a bitter taste. It's just so gross after that. This is why they say when a plant has overgrown, it becomes like super bitter and whatnot. And if you watch some food channels, you would see that a lot of chefs prefer smaller carrots than bigger carrots, because the bigger the carrot, the more bitter and off it kind of tastes. So this is why a lot of chefs prefer smaller veggies and lettuce, because it has a nice sweetness to it. Now, in biennial plants, most of them or some of them require a vernalization period, which means after the winter period and or season, that's what it requires. Basically, it needs that winter season in order for it to bloom, for it to give you roses or whatever have you. It needs that period. For example, your best example is a tulip. If you ever got a tulip for your mom or your dad during Mother's and Father's Day, and then their plant dies off and they think that their plant died, I get it all the time from people who aren't really good with plants. They're like, "Oh my God, my tulip died." So then I'll just go to their house, take the seeds or the bulbs that that the plant gave off, which is the underground food structure of the tulip. I would take that, put it in my refrigerator, and then when I start to see that like they're giving little shoots, I would put them back in the ground, and then a new tulip would arise. It's just funny how things are, The plant world is such a funny world to live in, because a lot of people who think that they don't have green thumbs, they think that they're killing off a plant, and then you have to go play Captain Save a Plant. for these people who don't understand anything about plants, I always just think it's very fascinating, because it's like, one, I get to save money. So I've literally have taken, when my mom would think that her tulip has died, I would take the bulb from the tulip, put it in the refrigerator, wait for it to give off shoots again, put it back in the plant, and then give it to her for another Mother's Day plant, for another Mother's Day gift. Yes, I was a little cheap, but hey, it worked. So yeah, that's my plant tip for you guys for the day. I am Tafari Green, and this is The External. I love you guys. Please take care of yourselves, and please like or follow my social media. I believe on Spotify, you can actually like and even give it a review. And you can do the same thing on Apple. So please like my content, because you're helping me grow.